Hello, Miriam. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. Very nice seeing you.
How have you been with COVID and everything crazy going on?
It is indeed crazy. And I have been like everybody else, just trying to think about what can you do when you are feeling so disempowered,
Yeah.
as we did with COVID and now with the war in Ukraine kind of paralyzed because there is very little that we feel that we can do. So I have been trying to do, I imagine that what everybody else has been doing, which is to focus on your most immediate world to try to make a difference there and to try
Okay.
to see where we can help elsewhere.
That's really good. I mean, the war going on, I think, is so sad. My great grandmother actually fled the Ukraine because of the Tsar for religious persecution. So to see this happening again is really sad. I think we all need peace, and especially after COVID, we all need to recenter ourselves. Things have been just so hectic. Now, inspiring girls is really amazing. I would love to know. How that began. Like, did you wake up one day and you were like, I'm going to find, inspiring girls? Like, how did this happen? I'd love to know.
Well, almost. And let me say, first of all, thank you to you for all the help that you have always given
Oh,
to inspiring girls, but which makes a huge difference. But it started basically because I had been focusing on gender for a long, long time. I was born in Spain when Spain was still in a dictatorship, and until I was 8, women in my country could not have their own current account, and they could not travel abroad without the permission of their husbands. And people think that that does not happen in European countries, but I am old, but not so old. It
oh
happened
my
not
God,
so
that
long
sounds
ago.
so demeaning. Whoa.
Exactly. And I remember, my mother was one of the few women who worked in my town because I come from a rural environment. And it was a big thing that she had to explain that she wasn't disrespected. My father, so anyway, I had always been focusing on those issues. And I was building up my career and I started having children. As it happens with most of us, you just focus on your own on your own things. But suddenly I found myself in 2010, because my husband became Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, I found myself in the middle of media exposure, a media exposure that I didn't seek and nor like. And
Oh, it
I
wasn't
struggled with
flattering?
it. At the beginning, it
Oh,
was a bit,
no.
yeah, it was a bit difficult because it's like, why is this happening to me? And why do people think, especially journalists, think that I have to be like a flower pot behind this politician, just, being a
That's not
nice
who you
ornament
are.
somewhere there. And I fought mentally against it for a couple of years. And then suddenly one day I remember I was on holiday and I had this moment of thinking, but why am I fighting this? I should use it for something
I love
that is
that.
meaningful. And at that time, I was reading a lot of research from girls, and girl guides in particular do fantastic research on girls. And they were saying that girls feel that they do not have enough access to female role models. So I thought, yeah, great, let's use this unwanted media exposure to try to create a movement
Oh, I
to
love.
connect girls with female role models. And that is what we do. And since then, we are now in 28 countries, which is great.
That is amazing. I actually love the story because so many females, even today, find themselves a shadow of their partner. And, women could do so much. The truth is, they can do anything. So I love that inspirational story of, what? It happened to me too. And here I am, turning this into a beautiful flower garden. Here we go. And I love how you share that with everybody too. So, what would be your favorite campaign you've done with Inspiring Girls? Because you've had like so many so far. Not only the This Little Girl Is Me, but the this one, which was really cool. So, like, what would be like your favorite one that you felt actually moved you to, like, empowered you personally?
Well, everything that I do with girls empowers me. And I should say, and I hope that this is a sort of recommendation for any woman or man who may be thinking of supporting this, that we do it for the girls, but very often I think that we are the ones who learn the most from them, and it's a privilege to work with them. But my favorite campaign, and we
Mhm.
have done a lot, was precisely, you mentioned it, This Little Girl Is Me, that we did on the International Day of the Girl last year. And the reason I invested myself enormously on it. So pretty much all my summer was taken by writing to people like you, saying, please help us and post. And we ask women to post pictures of themselves as a little girl and to say, you know, what advice they would give to themselves or what they were thinking at the time. And I think that is really very important, because when we talk to girls, and we talk to thousands of girls over every single year, a lot of what they still don't understand is that to become somebody like you, Lillee, for example, it doesn't happen just overnight.
No,
you know?
no, girl,
moments.
no.
Exactly, there are good moments, bad moments. And it wasn't so long ago that you were exactly like they are right now, and with the same, you know, doubts and aspirations and hopes. So I think that it brought women closer to girls. And to me, it was an important thing, because we started bringing the role models to schools. And that is what we did the first 2 years or so of the campaign. Then we thought, no, hold on a sec, we should do this virtually, because otherwise we are limiting the number of role models. So we did a video hub that we did with Google at the time, well before COVID. So we were very ready for that. And This Little Girl Is Me was an attempt to bring it to social media. So if the girls are in social media, we want to be there so that they cannot miss the role models. And I thought that it was a really good way to see how we can use social media for a good cause whenever we put good content, no? And I think that is an area where we all have to contribute.
Yes, of course. You know, one thing about the campaign that I thought was great is the vulnerability. You know, a lot of people, their baby photos are kind of personal to them. So the vulnerability of being able to share that and showing I am a strong woman, sharing this with you and telling you it's going to be okay. We all need to hear that sometimes. It will be okay. You can achieve your goal. Just it might take some time, but look where I am now. And I think that campaign really resonated with me as well, because I was like, when you sent it to me, I was like, this is everything. This needs to be happening, where more women are lifting one another up. What would you say has been your hardest hardship when it comes to this type of stuff? That you've overcome, of course. That's important.
Well, the most difficult bit is to overcome the frustration of trying to get really well-known women involved. And I make enormous efforts not to get frustrated and even angry, but I see woman after woman in really top positions that some of them are fantastic, and you send them a DM, it's like, of course I will help. And some others, it takes forever to get them there. Why? Because they have teams of advisors. And that is my frustration, that many of them are using the image of women and girls and feminism as a brand. And you see it very quickly when you are doing this kind of work that we are doing, that a lot of the so-called role models are not really authentic. And I loved it that you put the finger on vulnerability, because I think that the girls see through it. They really see through it. And we don't need like perfect, wonderful women just trying to pretend that they do everything in an easy manner. It's just not easy. And the girls need to know. So overcoming that frustration and not getting negative about it is probably the most difficult bit.
Honestly, you're way better than me, because I'd be so upset. You know, this is an excellent campaign, and anytime you can lend your voice, I think I wrote this to you several times, because I was like, at first I was like, why is she telling me thank you, thank you, thank you? Like, this is something that like you want to do. You want to be able to, when you're in a position, share. You must share. I mean, as humans, we grow from sharing. So I'm actually a little taken back that you were rebuffed like that, Miriam. I'm upset
not
for
rebuff.
you.
I mean, I should say we had thousands of wonderful and really, really well-known women, you know, from Melinda Gates, narrative, in lots of different areas. But I always think, I don't want to spend any time convincing those women, right? You know,
yeah, move on to the next. Somebody wants you.
Exactly. We had from those top women to women who are working in supermarkets, to nurses, you know, to women that I know they don't have time and they don't have means. And we should be spending all the time convincing those women, not the powerful ones, because, you know, with privilege comes responsibility, right? So let's just, you know, let's try to help.
No, but you are right. Anybody, you know, depending on what their job is, it doesn't matter. They're still, you know, out there working, putting themselves out there. And, you know, it doesn't matter your status. We're all, you know, let's just say women for this type of topic. And ultimately, it's a gender role here. So it's like, I love how you've just, you know what, I'm just going to keep going on. That is like so vital. So if it wasn't for inspiring girls, what would Miss Miriam be?
Where would she be? Well, I already do lots of different things. I think that probably right now I could, and if I were in my country right now, I could be trying to do more on politics. Something that I have realized, and it's a very acute feeling for me now, is that there is a lot that you can do from civil society. And I think that it is really important that anybody who does any action on civil society, they really focus on the action. It's not the narrative, it's not the words. It's very good raising awareness. Of course, we need that, but we need to move it into the action. But the big things, the transformational things, the things that really change society, all that really comes from the political side. And I consider that my generation has sort of withdrawn a little bit from politics, and we have done a disservice to our countries, really. So very openly, but I only tell you this because if I say this in Spain, I will have the journalists in the
Oh, goodness, no. I don't even know. You know, I think I shared with you about Bullish, how I'm working on Project Bullish, where I want to do my part by having some sort of federal law passed on online bullying, some sort of moderation, some sort of blocker for people creating these accounts. Because, you know, I actually had, since we were talking about journalists, I had a journalist reach out to me. And, you know, Miriam, they interviewed fake accounts and printed their words, not mine. Okay, there needs to be moderation on online bullying. And I guess Generation Z, my generation, I am continuing with that. And I just love how you're equally trying to, you know, do your part in the world. I think people have lost the fact that we are all individuals, but we're all a community with one another, and we need to help one another whenever we can. You know, one thing I'm interested in, and I hope it's not too intrusive, is a little bit of your backstory, because you're very smart, and you got to start somewhere with how you're so smart too. You know, talent grows at home, but what you really show outside is like that star power.
Well, it's very kind of you to say that I'm smart. I don't consider myself smart, but I work hard. I really, you know, that's one of my trademarks. Whatever I do, I put a lot of effort and energy into it. But I mentioned earlier that I was born during the period of transition from dictatorship to democracy in my country, and that was very crucial in my life, because it was a period of enormous social mobility, and all of us, we were being told, you know, education is key. So if you push it with education, you can get lots of things, and that has always gone with me. And you know, I come from I was the daughter of two teachers and rural environment. I went to the school of my village until I was 18. So it isn't by any means special background, but the belief in education and in myself is something that I took on very early on. And it makes a lot of difference in your life. If you are being limited whenever you are a child or a teenager, and you are constantly being shown that there are things that you cannot do, I think that it's very difficult. You can shake it off later on, but it takes an effort.
So if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be?
I would love to have the power of ubiquity, of being able to be in lots of different places at the same time. The biggest handicap in my life that when I'm in California, I'm not in Europe, and when I'm in Europe, I'm not in Africa, and there are all these different places where I have things, whether it's business or inspiring girls or politics going on. And I would love to be in all of them at the same time.
You want like 10 Miriams around? I love it. Where is your favorite place to travel? Since you would love to be everywhere, but there has to be one place.
Well, I went very recently to Alaska, basically because COVID caught me in the US and we couldn't travel back to our families in Europe. And I felt something there that I haven't felt in many other places. And I should explain that I probably see this because I'm European, and in Europe we don't have the huge nature that there is in the US, these amazing dimensions. But that feeling that you get in some parts of Alaska, that you're literally in the middle of nowhere, that there is nobody for kilometers and kilometers around of you, that's amazing. Really, I loved it.
Oh my God, it's so interesting because you're such a social person, but like it's almost like an oasis, like just like an escape. I love that. Is there anything you are planning going forward, maybe projects that you can share today?
Yes, I am. I am about to launch a company in Africa. I'm thinking of launching a company in my own country. And I'm making a move from, I have been working for other people for a long time, and now I'm kind of making that compatible with starting my own business projects. And I want to dedicate part of that project to contributing to public policy in my country on a pro bono basis. And yeah, it's something new. But I should stress that I'm able to do all this because I have fantastic teams. So, people sometimes when they hear me, it's like, why do you do all those different things? Like, because I have really good people with me who do it.
Okay, I think anybody who asks a woman why you did all these things, they're questioning your ambition in a way. I mean, I'm just saying, you're very ambitious and your teams are everything. Anybody's team is what helps them, kind of keep floating, because when you do so much stuff, you can get stressed, overwhelmed. And I love that you acknowledge your team, because sometimes people forget them and we must remember who helps us along the way. Thank you so much, Miriam, for coming on today. It is honestly such a pleasure. And is there anywhere people could find inspiring girls that you would like to share?
Yes, go to our website, www.inspirance-girls.com, or just follow our Instagram. We do a lot on Instagram and LinkedIn. And thank you so much for having me, Lillee. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Of course. Okay. Bye, Miriam.
Thank you.